against Bayer Leverkusen. Third versus fourth. A clash of European aspirants with a subplot of star strikers. Platz 11 plays host to what many believe is the most fascinating fixture of the weekend. Either Werder Bremen or Bayer Leverkusen will spend Christmas in third place. But who can stake their claim tonight? James Surrogate on the mic, ready to join you for a match that is packed to the brim with potential. Every season in Germany broken down into two halves. The Hinrunde, which is the first half of the season, and the Rückrunde, the second half. And following the expansion to 14 teams in the Frauen-Bundesliga, it breaks down into two sets of 13 fixtures, and the halfway stage provides a valuable chance to take a snapshot of the season so far. Bremen were looking to build on a record-breaking campaign in what was Fritzi Kromp's first on the hot seat. Few, though, could have imagined how high-flying their form would prove. Leverkusen, meanwhile, started the campaign with the aspiration of chasing a top-3 finish. A run of 3 defeats had threatened to derail, but Roberto Petzold's Chargers returned to winning ways against Leipzig last time out. With just a point separating Werder Bremen and Bayer Leverkusen in third and fourth respectively. The question is, who can seize the chance to stake a real claim for what would be a fabulous end to the first half of the season? Third place for either side would... And the battle for Europe rages on. Helped, of course, by the fact that Eintracht Frankfurt, the side that have finished third place in the last couple of seasons, have left the door open for teams like Leverkusen, like Werder Bremen, to steal a march on them. And Vanessa Fudala has shouldered a lot of the goal-scoring responsibility for Leverkusen's high-flying form. She takes on her counterpart, Larissa Mühlhaus, who also has 8 goals to her name. Those two joined at the top of the scoring charts by Köln's Sandra Maria Jessen. And the question is, can either of them get the goal tonight? It should be a fascinating duel in a fascinating fixture. The race for Europe is in the spotlight as we raise the curtain on Google Pixel Frauen-Bundesliga match day 13. Werder Bremen hosting Bayer Leverkusen. It is third versus fourth, a point between them at the start of play. One will spend Christmas in the top 3, but who can seize the opportunity this evening? James Surrogate, your match commentator, and delighted to have the pleasure of your company for arguably the highlight game of this round of fixtures. Certainly the encounter that has the highest stakes. The Werder Bremen victory today would move them 4 points clear of Leverkusen. For Fritzi Kromp, as she's affectionately known, it would be a real testament to the impact she's made since taking over as head coach in the summer. And not an easy job to assume either, after the legacy left behind by Thomas Horsch. There were some big shoes to fill and some standards to be met. But despite losing a couple of key players in the summer transfer window, they've made some good moves as well, and Kromp has really got them playing a brand of football that is deserving of their current third place standing in the table. Kristen Kogel breaching the lines, looking for Kehrer. Teased into the 6-yard box, but there's no one there to apply the finishing touch for Leverkusen. Loreen Bender does really well to keep that one in play. One of the big losses that Bremen suffered in the summer was the departure of goalkeeper Livia Peng, who joined Chelsea. Maria El Sharif has really covered herself in glory since joining from Karlsruhe Siena. A big step up. And while the exploits of Larissa Mühlhaus at the other end of the pitch are certainly garnering a lot of attention, and rightly so, Werder Bremen's defensive record this season really deserves a lot of respect. Fun fact that the back five of the goalkeeper, El Sharif, and then the back four of Michelle Weiss, Michelle Ulbrich, Hannah Nemeth, and Chiara D'Angelo. All 5 of those players have featured in all 12 games so far this season, and now 13, including tonight. Fritzi Kromp was talking before the game about how lucky she is that they've all stayed fit, but also then provided the consistency in performance levels that they have over the season so far. And certainly a key component in Werder Bremen finding themselves a little higher up the standings than maybe they would have expected to at this early stage of the season. Lina Hauseker penalised there for the foul on Kristin Kögel. Roberto Petzold, the Leverkusen head coach, talked about how important the win against Leipzig was, as it helped his side shake off the negativity, in his words, after a 3-game losing streak had threatened to derail Leverkusen's season a touch. The 3-2 win against Leipzig was anything but straightforward for Die Werkselfin. The goals coming from Loreen Bender, scoring inside 2 minutes, but no sign of an early goal here so far. Marina Gonzalez added a second before Vanessa Fudala got the third in the 3-2 win for Leverkusen from the spot. Petzold said it was reflective of Leverkusen's season, given the fact that the game had a fair few highs and lows. Hauseker with a nice header, wins it back here for Werder Bremen. Bit of a loose back pass. Fudala wasn't really primed in a position to pounce on the opportunity. Medina Desic trying to drop deep there for Werder Bremen, get a few touches. A couple of appearances so far this season where she has been a little bit isolated up front. Signed from Nuremberg in the summer after being one of the key components in their promotion push back to the Frauen-Bundesliga last season from Germany's second tier. But she was signed as the replacement for Sophie Weidauer, who left to join Union Berlin. She and Mühlhaus struck up a real understanding last season, but Desic and Mühlhaus have struck up quite a good one in a short space of time this season as well, which is much to Werder Bremen's benefit. Here is Mühlhaus combining with Desic. Now with Nemeth. The Werder Bremen fans have certainly enjoyed themselves so far this season. 4 wins, 2 draws in the 6 home games in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Something that Fritzi Kromp talked about before this game, saying that they want to maintain that unbeaten home record. It would be quite a statement from Werder Bremen if they were to carry that on through into the winter break. That half chance comes to nothing, but the break potentially on now for the visitors. Flicked around the corner, that's a nice little pass. Fudala tries to make something of it, gets bundled over in the end. Nemeth wins the 50-50. Type of challenge that you see many a time in the course of 90 minutes, but Ulbrich maybe just taking a knock to the ribs there. Fudala leaving her mark on the Werder Bremen centre-back, back with the club after that six-month loan spell with Bayern München. At the end of last season, she was part of the double-winning side, League and Cup. Ultimately knew her chances to feature for the Bavarians was going to be limited in the coming campaign, and as a result, moved back to Bremen. Sought out and rather savvy from Michelle Ulbrich. Tonight making her 281st appearance for Werder Bremen. Right up there at the top of the all-time appearance maker charts for the Northern club. You aren't quite number one in the North right now. That status still does belong to Wolfsburg, who sit just above them in second place. Vidal combining with Stebel. Oh, lovely little flick on. Didn't quite work out for Werder Bremen. Vidal now looking to play the ball in behind. Is a lovely pass, but Kehrer just mistiming the run. Get a close-up of the Werder Bremen kit as well. You might notice the fact that there's a little nuance on it tonight. The club badge in the form of a Christmas tree. It's a tradition that the club take part in every year. The special kits will then be given away to charity or raffled off for charitable causes. It's those nice little touches that make the connection between club and community so special. Not just with Werder Bremen, but it really can be said of so many clubs around the country and so many fan bases as well. They really turn up for their clubs and their causes. One goal, one goal, one goal. Werder Bremen score a goal is the chant from the home crowd as the free kick taken quickly here by Mühlhaus, and Roberto Petzold not happy about the fact that Leverkusen were not switched on. They've kept their shape well. Werder Bremen so far haven't made anything of that free kick. Now it's lofted forward by Ulbrich. Petzold did talk about Bremen's danger from dead ball situations as one of the key factors in their success at the start of this season. Since he has great respect for the performances and the consistency that Werder Bremen have produced. He was expecting a really high-quality match, and so far, both sides showing a lot of respect, but they're feeling each other out. Patiently trying to probe, maybe figure out where the vulnerabilities might lie. Test whether their pre-match preparations were on point. Neat bit of passing play, breaks down after a heavy through ball. Stops Leverkusen in their tracks. Well, this Werder Bremen, a side who have never finished higher than 7th in their Frauen-Bundesliga history. That was the position they finished last season in, and the season before it. And last season they set a new club record for most points, most wins. So too did Bayer Leverkusen, it should be worth mentioning. This season, records are likely to be broken again, given the fact that we have expanded to 14 teams in Germany's top flight. As a result, 4 extra fixtures on the season schedule. The fact is, having only ever finished as high as 7th, Werder Bremen right now sat in 3rd place. Tonight marking the end of the first half of the season, the first 13 games of the campaign. The end of the Hinrunde, as they call it here in Germany. Translated, that just means the first round. And that's the beauty of German football. The fixtures in the first half of the season are mirrored in the second. The teams they faced on foreign soil, they face on home soil after the winter break. As Reipol plucks that one out of the air from the Mühlhaus free kick. Now, she was certainly a player who was a big loss for Leverkusen during that 3-game losing streak. Defeats in the league against Freiburg and Essen. And then a defeat as well in the DFB Pokal, albeit on penalties against Hamburg, but Roberto Petzold admitting that that was the result that hurt the most of the 3. And Werder Bremen have booked their tickets to the quarterfinals. They are set to face SGS Essen when that fixture comes around in March. That's a long way away yet. Nevertheless, the team that went all the way to the final last season, they lost 4-2 to Bayern München in the end as the Bavarians completed the domestic double. It was another game in which Werder Bremen gave a wonderful account of themselves. Those types of performances against Bayern where you saw the potential of this side, but it's another thing to see the potential, it's another for them to then act upon it this season and take the step forward that they have under Fritzi Kromp. A new head coach, new ideas, a new way of playing football. But for Werder Bremen, it means they found a new level. Awkward for Vidal, but she does really well, and Kürgel then runs herself into trouble. Hauser comes away with it for Bremen. The final touch off of Hauser. Scrappy, but Leverkusen come away with it, and now Fudala finds Kehrer out wide. Bender's in the middle. But the offside flag had gone up against Caroline Kehrer. Estrella Merino Gonzalez getting a little reprimand there from Selina Menzel, suggesting she may be talked out of turn after that offside call. Menzel just trying to stamp her authority on proceedings. Not that they've been ill-natured up until this point, and unlikely to become ill-natured. Not exactly a rivalry between these sides outside of their current league standing. Something that Fritzi Kopp, the Werder Bremen head coach, talked about. The fact that she knew that Leverkusen were a team that had the ambition ultimately of finishing above Werder this season. Said tonight was going to be a tough task for her team, but they were very motivated. And said best case scenario, we come away with a win and a 6-pointer in the race for Europe right now. Fascinating race it's proving to be so far as well. Kegel just forces Kehrer a little bit wide. Promising situation. Still alive though, and Vidal's through ball doesn't quite find the mark. Kegel digs out the cross. We'll get the ball back. A hefty challenge from Desic, but a fair one in the eyes of Selina Menzel. Kegel is certainly one of the more diminutive players in the Frauen-Bundesliga, and her frame didn't help her in that situation against the more physical Medina Desic. I mean, take your pick of who fouled who in that one. You can make an argument both directions there, but it was Maya Sternad who got the referee's favour on that occasion. Free kick goes all the way back to El Sharif. Not sure that's exactly a training ground routine, especially now that it's been given away by Sternad. From a promising free kick, all they get is a throw in a few metres back. Werder Bremen. Right now, Bayer Leverkusen yet to really complete an attacking move. They build, they build, they build, and then it all breaks down. So far, that's happening a lot in very wide positions. They're favouring the left flank. But the fact is, that's where they feel they do a lot of good work. Sternad, unwittingly, letting the ball ricochet off her face, but cheeky back heel doesn't come off for her as Leverkusen get the throw to go their way, taken quickly by Vidal. And again, they come down this left wing. Kegel to Kehrer. Cheeky little reverse pass looking for Fudala. She finds Kurgel. Now Kera under pressure. Fudala with the ball and shot blocked. Is there a counter on for Werder Bremen? Oh, nice idea with the pass. It just wasn't where Larissa Mühlhaus needed it to be to take it in stride. Desic. It's a nice turn against Tirani, and that's perhaps a little generous in her favour. Or so it felt in that particular 50-50. Tirani clearly is going to drop deep and man mark in that regard. Do we say woman mark? Either way, staying touch tight with her counterpart. Desic does have the propensity to drop deep, and as a result, it might just drag Tirani out of position on occasion. And then the question is, will Bremen have the runners in behind to maybe capitalise on that space, whether it be Larissa Mühlhaus, whether it be Verena Vida, the former Leverkusen player, or Maya Sternad. They've got to be able to spot those opportunities. Bender just doubling up on this left wing from the throw-in. Doesn't work out for Leverkusen on that occasion. Desic, lovely hold-up play. And still Medina Desic. In the end, it was just one too many. She needed to release the ball at some point, having held off the two challenges initially. Now it breaks for Bender, pocket of space for Loreen Bender! Scored the opening goal against Leipzig in Leverkusen's 3-2 win. That one was always rising. One for the running track to collect. Hausiker, battling away, loses out in the end. Balance worked against her. What can Leverkusen turn this into? Kera. Oh, that's a really loose pass in a promising situation. Piric then can't quite pick the pocket of Mühlhaus, who does well to stay in possession there. Larissa Mühlhaus, star for club and country. She features for the Germany under-23 side. But based on current form, she might be knocking on the door of breaking into the national team. And truth be told, considering the fact that we're still relatively fresh from the news that Germany are going to be hosting Euro 2029, you look at Vanessa Fudala, you look at Larissa Mühlhaus. Fudala is 24, Mühlhaus is 22. In 4 years' time, they could be a little and large pairing up front for the German national team. But at the very least, you'd reckon that if they maintain their current trajectories, then they should be part of the setup. Even if they're not perhaps the first choice strike pairing. Got to imagine that Selina Cerci will be in that mix as well. There's a good crop of German strikers knocking about right now. Plenty with a lot of potential. Big things, and many a performance will now be looked through the lens of, oh, well, could they be part of the national team setup? Of course, there's a World Cup between now and then as well. We shouldn't forget. Don't get ahead of ourselves. Here is Fudala. Drew the foul from Michelle Weiss. Not the smartest challenge for the Werder Bremen right-back to make in that position. That's the beauty of Fudala. She fools you into believing that you might just be able to poke the ball away, and then that quick little touch to knock it behind you. She's talked at length about the fact that she's well aware she's not the tallest and not the thinnest striker either, but she's learned how to use the frame of her body to great effect, and that left foot of hers is one of the great weapons in the Frauen Bundesliga. Because it can find the back from a variety of back of the net, I should say, from a variety of positions. She might be small, but she's not bad in the air either. And there, the header from Fudala. No one really picking up the star striker at the near post. Flick on that caused Mariella El Sharif real problems for the first time in this game, and that's the best chance that either side have had, the best save of the game from either goalkeeper. And Werder Bremen would be well warned not to let Fudala float freely, unmarked, from free kick situations like that. Lucky not to be punished. Ambitious pass, doesn't quite come off for the hosts. Chiara D'Angelo using her body to good effect just to put the ball at play for a throw. Kogel spots the space for Chiara. A bit of a silly challenge there from D'Angelo. Somehow she comes away with the ball. Neat play by Sterner just to hold off the challenge. Half an hour and change played here at Platz 11, pitch 11. Which is arguably one of the least original names, but one of the more unique names, because it's not many pitches that just get called by a certain number. A ground this season that has commanded some very respectable attendances. Averaging over 2,000 per game here at this pitch. Of course, they had that wonderful turnout of 37,000 for the Nord Derby, the Northern Derby against Hamburg. That one turned into a 2-0 win for Werder Bremen. Huge highlight in the first half of the season that's had its fair share. Mühlhaus bagging a brace on that occasion with both goals coming from the spot. So far, Werder Bremen without a shot on goal. Leverkusen, they've got the control, they've got the possession, they've had the chances. Nothing to show for it so far. And the offside flag, not the statistic that we just saw highlighted, but if I'm not mistaken, that's about the third or fourth time that Leverkusen have been caught out. Just mistiming the runs in behind. Too over-eager to exploit the space behind the Bremen backline. Oh, that's never a foul. Don't get me wrong, I have a feeling that Sternad has really caught Kogel here, because her shin goes right into the ankle of Kristen Kogel, who has picked herself up. But the ball sprung free and it was a 50-50. Sternad, oh no, there was nothing studs up about that. Nothing studs up about that. I think Selina Menzel has seen something that wasn't in that challenge. Explains why she made the decision And I guess Sternad was certainly taking the greater element of risk there. She had every right. With very little to do so far, the Leverkusen goalkeeper. A few involvements just to stifle some of Bremen's promise. This is the interesting thing about Werder's 1-0 winners. A lovely little bit of play there from Hannah Nemeth. Credit to the centre-back. You don't exactly expect her to pull out that type of bag of tricks. But look at now Bremen breaking forward from it. Sternad. Overlapping run from Weiss. He's got Mühlhaus in the middle. They aim for Tarani, goes diving in. Bremen want the corner, and they get it. Brilliant play by Weiss. Tarani certainly got a touch on the ball. Can't really have any complaints about that decision. But now Werder Bremen yet to have their first shot on goal of the game. A chance to produce it from this dead ball situation. It's one of the areas that Roberto Petzold warned that his side need to be wary of, Leverkusen. Vanessa Fudala's header at one end from a free kick for the visitors, now a set piece for the hosts. Floated in by Mühlhaus, attacked, and it's a good opportunity and somehow kept out. Michelle Aubrey running onto the ball, completely unmarked. Tried to pick her spot, but couldn't. And what we couldn't tell in the melee was whether this came off the frame of the goal, whether it was maybe a goal line clearance. Either way, Bremen with their first shot of the game, so close to the opening goal. That would have been a bit of a shock to the system for Leverkusen. Now Hauseker bundles her way through to find Desic. Mühlhaus wants the ball, but Desic goes to goal and sends it wide. Well, all eyes are on Mühlhaus, given the fact she's got 8 goals to her name this season, but we shouldn't forget Medina Desic is on 4. Though admittedly, 3 of those came in a hat-trick against Nuremberg. And the one thing to note about Larissa Mühlhaus's output is that 6 of her 8 goals have come from penalties. A huge helping hand in that regard. She made the step up to the Frauen Bundesliga last season with Werder Bremen, having signed from their northern rivals Hamburg. Big move made. Not many brave enough to make it. Of course, back in Hamburg were in the second. It was a step up to the top tier for Mühlhaus. She didn't look out of place, though. 10 goals in her debut campaign. Gave us a taste of what was to come. But the 8 goals so far at the halfway stage of the season after tonight, too shy of matching her from the previous campaign, shows that it wasn't just a flash in the pan, that she is at home at the highest level. This subplot of star strikers as well. That's something that Fudala has done with Leipzig and now with Leverkusen. Many did wonder whether she could make the step up again. 8 goals to her name, and not all of them, or not the majority of them, have come from penalties. The majority have come from open play. Left by Bender. Drives Leverkusen forward and almost with the killer pass at the end of it as well. Marino Gonzalez squeezed the ball through the legs of one of the Werder Bremen players, and then D'Angelo gives the ball away rather cheaply to Piljic. Fortunately for Werder Bremen, it comes to nothing. Nice outlet pass, and Weiss was ready to give chase. Stebel, you have to say, read the play and the danger really well. She is one of those players that her performances can go unnoticed. They can fly under the radar. She doesn't produce the highlight moment. She does a lot of the basics brilliantly, though. And tonight, she's catching the eye because she really is this link between backline and frontline. She drops in between the centre-backs to get some touches like she's doing now, in between Ostermeier and Turanyi. But then she has also been given the license to roam forward, and when she is on the ball, yes, she can play the proficient passes to break the lines and advance Leverkusen, but we've seen her on a couple of occasions already tonight carry the ball forward as well, which is maybe something that Roberto Petzold has asked of her. Helped, of course, by the fact that Bremen are showing Leverkusen a fair amount of respect. They're stepping off on occasion. Now it's won back by Christian Kürgel. Flips between the lines. Christian Kürgel thought about the shot. Drives to the byline instead, but to no avail. Well marshalled out of play there by Michelle Ulbrich. Well, that was the shot from Desic that went wide. This was the corner that came before it, and it is indeed Estrella Marino Gonzalez, who was right place, right time on the Leverkusen line to prevent Ulbrich scoring with what would have been and was Bremen's first shot of the game. One nibble too many from Sophie Stebel. Her dad, Thomas, former Leverkusen player in his playing days, 12 appearances for the club, now operating as their under-17 coach with the boys. Roberto Petzold, man who has been in charge of the women's team since July of 2024. His first season saw the club produce their best ever campaign, club record in terms of points and wins, finishing fourth with 43 points to their name and 13 victories. Fourth place is where they sit right now. They'd like to go one better if they can, and if they win tonight, they move above Werder Bremen. That might not be where they end at Christmas, but it would be a huge statement tonight as Juliana Wirtz is going to get booked for a rather egregious foul on her former Leverkusen teammate, Christian Kürgel. Wirtz, who made over 100 appearances for Bayer 04 before joining Werder Bremen. Sister to Florian, who now plies his trade with Liverpool in the Premier League. Fourth booking of the season, one away from a ban now for Wirtz, who was back in the Bremen lineup. The only change in the first 11 for Fritzi Kromp. Now we've got Kürgel and Marino Gonzalez standing over this free kick. Marino Gonzalez looking for a teammate, and oh, El Sharif, that's a hefty collision. Turanyi really will come off second best here. I mean, that was fully committed from El Sharif. You could argue a little bit dangerous for opposing players. This didn't look good in the first instance. I don't think it's going to look good on replay either. And oh my goodness, Turanyi. Oh, concern for the Leverkusen centre-back here, because she takes the shoulder, the elbow of El Sharif at full pelt from her blind side, didn't anticipate the contact. I remember her missing a couple of games last season due to a concussion. She is certainly a no-nonsense defender who sometimes leaves her mark on opposing players as well. But right now there's real concern for both Tehrani and El Sharif. It's more the fact that Tehrani's is a head injury that means that she's the greater cause for concern. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's completely knocked the wind out of Marielle El Sharif as well. It's one of those moments where you don't want to see your players pull out. You want Tehrani to try and win the header. You want El Sharif to try and punch clear. But right now, there's Vanessa Fischer getting ready. And Leverkusen might have a centre-back replacement warming up as well. I mean, that was quite some clattering, and all we can hope is that both players are all right. Tehrani is the first to her feet. It might not just be wind knocked out of El Sharif as well. I mean, that collision had the velocity, it had the danger of broken ribs, broken bones. To be honest, Tehrani, for me, is very lucky to walk away from this relatively unscathed. A little concern etched on the Bremen fans' faces with their goalkeeper still stricken on the pitch. Juliana Wirtz has checked on El Sharif now. Here comes the captain, Nina Hausiker, as well. I mean, I don't want to jump to early conclusions. There hasn't been a lot of movement from her. Not to suggest she's unconscious, because she's clearly conscious, but it really suggests that she has been rattled by this, and you can understand why. I mean, to be honest, that angle makes it look like El Sharif probably had the worst side of that 50-50. The initial viewing suggested it was Tehrani, but if anything, it's Tehrani's shoulder that's gone full right into the sternum of Marielle El Sharif, the young 21-year-old Austrian international. Does have Egyptian roots. Well, it's one thing to be okay in this situation, it's another to then be ready to play another 45 minutes of football, to make saves, to try and acquit yourself in a heavily contested penalty area. I'm not sure it's the first half that Fritzi Komp would have wanted to see from her side, but they've had to show Leverkusen a fair amount of respect based on the performance put in from the visitors so far. And at 0-0, nothing's lost. They beat Karsai Siena by a single goal last weekend, which interestingly was Werder Bremen's first 1-0 win of the season. And that's only interesting because last campaign they really were the minimalists of the Frauen-Bundesliga, and there were 5 1-0 wins over the course of the campaign for Werder Bremen. Looks like El Sharif is at least going to try and play through to half-time and maybe receive 15 minutes more of treatment, or 15 more minutes just for her ribs to settle back into position, as Mühlhaus now 4 for company. Finds the pass. Hausiker now feeds it out wide. Desic the target for the cross. Under pressure from Tehrani. And doesn't want to let an easy outlet pass be produced. But there's another performance that highlights the really strong back line that Bremen have had this season. That looked like a pretty clear handball from Marino Gonzalez, but Leverkusen come away with it. Turanyi says, that's where I should have been getting the run from you, Vidal. Just put a little bit too much on the pass there, Lila Turanyi. Waiting on the ball in midfield is never a good idea. Not against Werder Bremen's side, who do get stuck in, and Weiss. Lovely chopped go past Vidal. Hausaka and Wirtz combined in midfield. 4 minutes of time added on at the end of this first half, but the injury to Turanyi and El Shari saw us break into injury time before the action was back underway. Ulbrich not helped out by Wirtz there, but it might work out for Werder Bremen. Verena Vida putting pressure on Marino Gonzalez in conjunction with Desic, and they've won it back here, Werder. They've got a free kick because Marino Gonzalez rather threw Desic to ground in the aftermath of losing the ball. Question is, how generous does Selina Menzel want to be with the timekeeping now? Larissa Mühlhaus with a chance to get the ball into the danger area for Werder Bremen. Something they haven't done often in this first half. It's flicked on by Leverkusen head. It'll be a Bremen corner. And this likely will be the final action of this competitive first half. Mühlhaus not exactly sensing any urgency. If anything, she wants this to be the final chance of the first half. 6-yard box is packed out. A couple of green shirts in there. It goes long. Ulbrich again the target. And a clash of heads ultimately will bring an end to a first half. And that final incident rather symptomatic of the first 45 minutes, because it's been very competitive. Both sides have gotten stuck into the challenges, but there's been little daylight between the sides sat in third and fourth respectively, and as a result, goalless at the break at Platz 11, but plenty to play for in the second half. It's Werder Bremen 0, Leverkusen 0. Hello and welcome back everyone to Platz 11 or pitch 11 here in the wonderful picturesque northern city of Bremen, where Werder Bremen have been having a lot of fun so far this season, especially on home soil. But they haven't been having a lot of fun so far tonight because they're coming up against a very stubborn and well-oiled Leverkusen machine. One of the big questions we were asking ourselves at the start of this second half was whether Werder Bremen goalkeeper Mariella El Sharif would recover from the hefty collision she suffered at the end of the first half, along with Lida Tarani to feature for the second, but she is out, the young 21-year-old. Vanessa Fischer, the backup, was getting muddy during the half-time break, testing herself in case she was called upon. But the good news for Werder Bremen, their bright young goalkeeper can continue. We are back underway in the north of Germany. The race for Europe, centre stage. This a battle of third against fourth. Two teams with a chance to finish in the top three come Christmas. Something that both would have hoped for at the start of the season, but neither would have assumed would have been realistic. James Thorogood, your match commentator, delighted to have the pleasure of your company on this Friday evening under the floodlights. Cracking way to get match day 13 up and running. A cracking way to close out the first half of the season. No matter the result tonight for Werder Bremen, it will be all positive when it comes to their assessment of the first 13 matches of the campaign. The same could be said of Leverkusen, though there will be a feeling that more was on offer for Roberto Petzold and co. Corner for Werder Bremen. Comes to nothing. And that put back from Chiara D'Angelo won't either. I'm sure Fritzi Kromp, though, would have been asking for a little bit more courage, a little bit more bravery from her Werder players when it comes to their attacking intent. Their defensive unit really came to the fore again, as it has throughout this season. One of the cornerstones of their success. We didn't really see them tap into their attacking ability, but for two half chances and one effort that was cleared off the line by Estrella Merino Gonzalez, denying Michelle Ulbrich what would have been the opening goal. And the opening goal tonight might be enough for all 3 points. Talked about Werder Bremen being the minimalist last season. 5 times they won by a goal to nil, like they did against Karl Zeiss Jena last weekend. They certainly wouldn't say no to a 1-0 victory tonight, the women in green and white. Only league leaders Bayern München and Hoffenheim have conceded less goals in the current campaign than Werder Bremen. You look back at last season, Livia Peng was one of the, if not the star of the Werder Bremen show, along with Mühlhaus and Weidauer up front, arguably. She had a pretty impressive track record and produced the most saves of any goalkeeper in the Frauen Bundesliga last season. So she left the club and you thought, well, Fritzi Kromp and Werder might have a tough time replacing the woman who moved to Chelsea. But Mariella El Sharif maybe isn't making the same percentage of saves as Livia Peng used to. The fact is, 75% of effort she's keeping out, and that's a very strong record for a Werder Bremen goalkeeper. Right now, Werder Bremen have started this second half on the front foot. Now a chance again to put Friederike Repol under a little bit of pressure inside that 6-yard box. Lovely delivery, and Bender's there to meet it. Only as far as Michelle Weiss, but that was always going wide. And the snapshot was on. You can't really blame her for chancing her arm. But better quality needed in the shot. Already, though, in the second half, Werder Bremen have produced as many shots as they did in the entirety of the first. Here they come again, Werder Bremen. Maya Sterner to the byline. Oh, that was clumsy from Taranyi. And Werder Bremen, once again this season, see the referee point to the spot. This is becoming one of the big stories of their campaign. Rarely does a game go by where Werder Bremen don't get a penalty. And you can't argue, this was very poor defending from Lida Taranyi. Sternard got wrong side. She was guiding it to the byline. She was all over her heels. And Larissa Mühlhaus now. 8 goals this season. 6 of those 8 goals have been scored from the spot, though she has missed once already this season. Last weekend, her penalty was the only goal of the game against Karsai Siena. Right now, a precious chance. Bremen producing a power play at the start of the second half. Mühlhaus from the spot against Schiphol, sends her the wrong way, and Werder Bremen lead. In a battle of European aspirants, it's the 3rd place side who break the deadlock against the 4th place team. A win tonight could secure Bremen 3rd place at Christmas. What a gift it would be. And what a gift that penalty was. Taranyi doesn't cover herself in glory, but Mühlhaus keeps her cool. And she right now moves top of the goal-scoring charts in the Frauen-Bundesliga with her 9th of the season. 7 penalties, 9 goals. Wow. And she's 1 shy now of matching her tally from the entirety of the previous campaign. And tonight, only tonight, are we hitting the halfway stage of the 25-26 season. Larissa Mühlhaus is on a tear, and yes, the penalties are helping, but she's still got to convert them. She's still got to hold her nerve. She's still got to shoulder that responsibility, but she continues to with every passing match. And right now, she is the Werder Bremen game changer. She is almost the goal guarantee. Leverkusen looking for a response. Not cleared by Bremen, but Marino Gonzalez can't keep the chance alive, though they do stay in possession, the visitors. Werder Bremen were maybe it's not useful when we don't really see who the yellow card is dished out to. I can only assume it was Roberto Petzold. He is no stranger to talking himself into a bit of trouble with match officials. Someone who certainly lives and breathes the emotions of the 90 minutes of football at all times. Not the best example to set for his players, though, in all honesty. Stebel. Still one of the stars of the show for Leverkusen this evening, though they are slow out of the block from this second half compared to Werder Bremen, they've gone up a gear. They've raised the stakes. They've shifted the bravery levels. They put themselves on the front foot early at the start of the second half, and they've been rewarded with the opening goal from the penalty. But what they won't want to do is shift down again now as a result of the opener, as Piljic takes exception there to the challenge from Hausiker, and you can understand why. It was rather reckless from Lina Hausiker. I think she might have got a touch of the ball, but she basically had to go all the way through Katarina Piljic to get there. As you can see here, trying to wrap her body all the way around Piljic, and see, she got the touch, but she ends up taking out two Leverkusen players for good measure. I guess Lina Hausiker, the Werder Bremen captain, will say, well, that's worth a yellow card in my eyes. Leads by example. Someone that doesn't take her place on the pitch for granted, especially after the nasty knee ligament tear that she only returned from last season. Said it took a long time for her to trust her body again. Free kick for Leverkusen, flicked on by Taranyi. Vidal, sweet strike, and it's through all the bodies, but wide of the target. Yikes, that was not comfortable for Marianne El Sharif. A lot of pace and height put on that back pass from Lina Hausiker under pressure. Bremen tried to build from the back, it didn't work out. They've won the ball back now, and Mühlhaus just tried to turn the corner there. Put the ball one side, run the other. Now the battle of the star strikers, she's got her goal, and Vanessa Fudala hasn't. Of course, Sandra Maria Jessen was level with 8 goals at the top of the charts, and Köln do face Karl Zeiss Jena on home soil, so you've got to think that Jessen will fancy her chances of adding to her 8-goal tally, helped, of course, by the hat-trick scored last weekend. Köln continue to impress. It's a 4-1 win against Hamburg. Type of result that really means that they should have absolutely nothing to do with the relegation battle, Köln. Nürnberg then sprung a huge surprise, and you could argue the same for them, that they are, like Köln, not really going to have anything to do with the dance for demotion. But what Nürnberg did on Wednesday was beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-3, an 8-goal thriller that has serious implications on the race for a top 3 finish, because it's really opened the door for Werder Bremen and Leverkusen to seize the initiative, put a bit of breathing room between themselves and the team that will be favoured to finish 3rd for what would be a 5th straight season in the Frauen-Bundesliga. Frankfurt's extra curricular activities in Europe have cost them domestically, and that 5-3 loss to Nuremberg was rather embarrassing. It leaves them on 19 points. Leverkusen are 3 better off, even if they do lose today. Right now, this Larissa Mühlhaus penalty is set to move Werder Bremen on to 26 points. A reminder, last season they broke their club record for most points amassed over the course of a single campaign, and by the end of the 22 matches they had 29 points. We are now in a position where after 13 Werder Bremen might be 3 points off matching their club record, and you can make as much as you want of the expansion to 14 teams and the availability, the opportunity there is for records to be broken. But the fact is, this proves that Werder Bremen would have been breaking records whether we had expanded to 14 teams or not. Fritzi Kromp, wow. I mean, hats off to her. There was a headline in Bild about her having Werder Bremen on course for Champions League qualification, which is what 3rd place would be.
one of the lines in that article in Bild was that the men's team would give anything to be in the position that the women's team are. But this positive trajectory, this wonderful development that Werder Bremen have undergone, reward for the investment that they've put into the women's team. Reward for the legacy that Thomas Horsch left. He left a foundation, and Fitzy, Comp and co have built on it. And that, truth be told, was anything but a foregone conclusion. And now we see the response from Leverkusen. Kristin Kürgel has had a few bright moments, but no real impact to speak of except her set pieces. And now Cornelia Kramer, back from injury, makes her first appearance since match day 2 of this season. She was top goal scorer for Leverkusen in the previous campaign. She had racked up 12 goals come the end of the season, and Roberto Petzold mentioned her before this game. The fact that she was returning, felt it was positive, felt that ultimately she was one of the main reasons that Leverkusen had a pretty fierce reputation for being a clinical team in the previous campaign, because she didn't get many chances, Karma, but she scored 12 goals. 12 of what were 38 scored by Leverkusen over the course of the campaign. 6 goals shy of their club record set back in the 2013-14 season. Desic charges down the clearance and almost hurt herself in a bit of a slip on the running track on the side of the pitch. It was so commonplace in German stadiums back in the day, and now fans really don't like it, given the fact that it does force that element of separation. The onus then on the home fans to really make themselves heard so that the atmosphere gets on top of opponents. And credit to the Werder Bremen fans. They're enjoying what they're seeing, and they're getting behind their side as Vida clips a cross in. Back post, no one there. And Leverkusen looking to produce a positive response. Now Bender. Oh, tricky player, Loreen Bender. And Kramer can't get to the loose ball after Bender was bundled over in the box, but unlike the clumsy challenge from Tarani, there wasn't a big hint of a penalty about this one on Bender. Just seems she got crowded out in the end, but that was a cheeky nutmeg on Julie Hannafitz. I mean, what? Loreen Bender. Again, one of those German players for the future. Remember the name, Euro 2029 rolls around, and she might be a key figure. Here's Verena Vida. Few eyebrows raised when she left Leverkusen to join Werder Bremen, but she wanted more game time than she was getting with Die Werkself in. And she's got it with Werder Bremen, where she's a near permanent fixture in the starting lineup, despite the fact that her Werder Bremen career, as she herself admitted, didn't start in ideal fashion. She suffered a knee ligament injury while still on the books with Leverkusen. Interesting, that injury came in the lead-up to a game against Werder Bremen. As a result, she had to bide her time when making her Bremen debut. Since then, a firm fixture in the first 11. It's a good clearance by Nemeth, only as far as Piljic. Katarina Piljic chancing her arm, but no threat posed to Mariella El Sharif by Katarina Piljic. Werder Bremen will be mightily pleased to be limiting Leverkusen to shots like that. Long-range efforts where they're going to have to produce something spectacular or speculative. But limit their clear-cut chances, and Werder Bremen will be on course for another 1-0 victory. Sternad, she won the penalty, tried to cut back against Vidal, who makes a better challenge. For Werder Bremen as well, it'd be a 5th win in 6 if they hold on. They're in a prime position to extend their unbeaten streak at the very least to 6 after 4 wins and a draw, and that draw coming against Köln here at Platz 11. A game that might have played out differently, but it was so snow-hit. And I think it's fair to say both sides struggled. Fortunately tonight, no snowfall, somewhat milder temperatures, but still chilly. And a place like Platz 11 doesn't exactly give you a lot of cover. Corner comes in, over the head of Bender. Piljic pumps it up into the night sky. Ulbrich will try and maintain possession for Bremen and does well. Desic follows suit, but well played by Marino Gonzalez there. Brilliant defending by the young right back, who tried to take the free kick quickly, and well, if anything, the referee has done her no favours there by pulling the action back. And Wirtz, a little drop at the shoulder there from Vanessa Wirtz. Interesting to note that Vanessa Fudala seems to have dropped into a deeper role, so it's Kehrer and Kramer as the front two, and Fudala's basically taken Justin Kergel's position on the left wing, but clearly been given the license to roam, maybe into that more central number 10 position behind the two strikers. Turn into a bit of a 3-woman pivot up front. Wirtz, Desic again, back to goal, brilliant turn, quick pass to Vida, excuse me. Unfortunately just got the angles wrong, but that's exactly what Medina Desic was signed by Werder Bremen for. Because Mühlhaus, she has the frame of a target woman, but she doesn't like to play like one. She likes playing in the hole behind a lone striker. She's technically gifted, wonderful footwork, can work the ball well in tight spaces, and she almost likes not being the centre of attention up front. Medina Desic has no problem fulfilling that role. She's got so much experience as well, but she's such a canny striker, the Montenegrin. She showed it during her time with Nürnberg, whether it be in the top tier or the second tier. 20 goals last season that helped Nürnberg win promotion. Big loss for Nürnberg, but you wouldn't know it based on their form, so credit to them. But Desic, what an impact she's made as the partner for Larissa Mühlhaus up front. Willing to do the dirty work that Mühlhaus wasn't. Here is Mühlhaus now with the corner. Good one, near post. Danger alive, and well, Tarani taken out in the aftermath by, I believe it's Maya Sternad, so the roles reversed from the penalty that was conceded earlier in this second half. Everyone seemed to just lose track of the ball, and in the end Sternad just waited on it a touch long. Tarani took the chance to beat her to it. Desic, Wirtz, none of them can bring it under their spell, but now Hausiger does. Mühlhaus, soft touch from Mühlhaus, lovely ball from Mühlhaus, and Vida was right there. If anything, she got caught in two minds. Do I take it first time? Do I try and take a touch? In the end, she did neither.
But look at this inventive play by Mühlhaus, the vision as well, and the execution. If that ball is a few centimetres lower, it probably springs off the shoelaces of Verena Vida. And that would have been a nice moment against her former side. Yellow card for the foul there by the former Leverkusen player. Yet to open her account for the season. She said that's a fact that rankles with her. She wouldn't mind doing it against Leverkusen, her former club, but ultimately she says as long as Werder Bremen are picking up 3 points, she doesn't mind not being on the score sheet. Just under 20 minutes of normal time remaining here at Platz 11. If you ever get the chance, one of the more wonderful walks you get to a football stadium. Fudala's free kick is dangerous, not dealt with. A little bit of panic at the back there for Werder Bremen, but they come away with it and get away with it. Fudala now for Leverkusen. Tries to get it back into the danger area. Attacked by Turanyi. And if that isn't Lila Turanyi in a nutshell, I don't know what is. Told you, she's a no-nonsense, no-frills defender. She got taken out in the first half after a hefty collision with Mariella El Sharif, the Werder Bremen goalkeeper. Picked herself up, has been throwing herself into the challenges since, and good old shoulder battle there with Ulbrich, but Ulbrich was in the air and as a result a little bit vulnerable, thrown off balance by Turanyi. Came through like a traction engine in the end, but Ulbrich is made of strong stuff. And they're the type... Ooh, that's a foul throw. The back leg came way up from Juliette Vidal. Oh, Mühlhaus. That's what I mean about her ability in tight spaces, the trickery, the technical ability, the instincts needed just to react and anticipate what an opponent's going to try and do to try and pick the pocket. And again, it can sometimes be surprising because you look at her height, you look at her stature and you think, well, she shouldn't really be able to move the ball that quickly and have that little fleet-footed turn of pace, but she does. That's why she is one of the rising stars of German women's football right now. And right now we are getting a look at the two best young strikers, in my opinion, along with Selina Cecchi of Hoffenheim, but Mühlhaus and Vanessa Fudala, two for the future. Double change now for Werder Bremen, and there will be no first goal of the season against her former club for Verena Vida. Two players coming on, Amira Arfawi and Rika Diekman. I think it's Juliana Wirtz, the other player making way for the home side. Indeed it is. It was Wirtz in for Diekman, and the only change in the starting lineup this evening for Fritzi Komp. Didn't want to mess with her lineup too much given the recent run of form either side of the international break. Now Desic down by the byline. Ulbrich on the front foot there, defending a little higher up the pitch. Maybe the minimalists are back, Werder Bremen. Having not had a single 1-0 win, maybe it'll be back-to-back sole goal victories. But 3 points, and in the eyes of Fritzi Komp, the Werder Bremen head coach, this would be 6 points, in theory. A top 3 6-pointer. At the halfway stage of the season involving Werder Bremen and Leverkusen. I'm not sure many would have anticipated that at the start of the season. I think
Leverkusen and Bremen were certainly looked at as potential dark horses. Leverkusen especially, given the fact that they were very much dark horses in the race for a top 3 finish last season. It was Leverkusen, Frankfurt, Bayern and Wolfsburg that for a long time were very hard to separate at the top of the table. In the second half of the season, Leverkusen dropped off a touch. Down the final stretch, Frankfurt did as well, and as a result, the duopoly of Wolfsburg and Bayern that have dominated the top tier of German women's football for the last 13 years wasn't broken. Maybe we'll have a change of the guard in the top 3 at least this season. Werder Bremen 1-0 up. Larissa Mühlhaus with a free kick. Looking for a teammate. Ulbricht there, it's 2-0. Oh, it's offside. I was about to say that was criminal defending from Leverkusen. To leave Michelle Ulbricht that unmarked from a Larissa Mühlhaus free kick. They would have deserved to go 2-0 down. We'll wait to see replays as to whether the decision was correct or not. Either way, for Leverkusen, it's a let-off. 2 changes. Caroline Kehrer and Juliette Vidal are off. Valentina Mädel, the young Austrian striker, is on. So too Julia Mickenhagen. Awkward for Raypol, who was a little slow in coming off her line there. And while Leverkusen, you can argue that their response has been positive. If anything, they settled back into the rhythm that they had in the first half, where they had more possession, they had more control, they were trying to play the game their way, but chances in front of goal were slim as Kramer fizzes that one in, and it just needed a touch from Mädel. Not sure whether she was going for goal there, the young Danish striker. But if anything, I probably think she was. Here we see again. Oh, that replay's that replay's not going to help us at all. I mean, I'll be honest, it looked like Ulbricht was a step too early, but the angle of that camera certainly wasn't going to provide any conclusive evidence whatsoever. In the age of goal line technology and semi-automated offside decisions and VAR, though, I have to say sometimes it's really refreshing. Sometimes it's nice not to have a replay provide conclusive evidence. Sometimes it's nice not to know. Sometimes it's nice to debate a little bit of controversy. Of course, it won't be nice for Werder Bremen if Leverkusen find an equaliser. It turns out that goal for Ulbricht should have stood. She had a goal cleared off the line, Ulbricht, in the first half. A goal ruled out for offside in the second. That looked like a foul on Sternad. I wouldn't say it was a penalty because it looked like the contact was outside the area, but Menzel waving Sternad to her feet again. You can see that Werder Bremen's trying to stay really sharp at the back as Ulbricht has her heels clipped there by Mädel. A little over-eager in trying to win the ball back there, the young 19-year-old. Signed from St. Pölten, the Austrian team in the summer. Had a record of 34 goals and 73 appearances for them. Has already scored twice for Leverkusen, benefiting, of course, from the injuries that Caroline Kehrer and Cornelia Kramer were dealing with at the start of this season. As a result, got a few more minutes than maybe she was anticipating. She was a player that caught the eye last season when she scored in the Women's Champions League against Barcelona for St. Pölten, albeit in a defeat, but she said it was a dream moment, as is very easy to understand. Now look at the statistics, and again, it underlines the efficiency we've seen from Werder Bremen, but I don't think we need the statistics to understand that. The disappointing thing from Leverkusen's perspective is since they've gone behind, just 2 shots on goal. One from Juliette Vidal one from Katarina Pilic, both from outside the area, both went well off target. For all the quality you have in your ranks, if you can't create more opportunities, then there will be no argument to make that Leverkusen are deserving of a point here. For Bremen, this will be very symptomatic of their season. But now Kramer in behind, Ulbrich across and takes the sting out of the situation in conjunction with El Sharif, who stays down. And again, yeah, absolutely nothing to do with that challenge because there was no contact with her. This is all about the clattering she took in the first half and the fact that she's still probably feeling the effects of that. But again, you know, that was nothing. That was her falling to ground of her own volition. And if that's all it takes just to re-aggravate the injury, then I mean, you can make the argument she shouldn't have even come back on the pitch in the first place. It was El Sharif and Turanyi at the end of the first half. There was a 50-50 ball lofted into the area from a free kick. El Sharif came off her line to punch. She got there as well, she got the punch, but completely taken out by, well, I say both players took each other out in equal measure, truth be told. I tell you what, I see something like this as well, and again it points out that if Leverkusen had just got a shot on target, maybe El Sharif wasn't even in a position to make the save. You know, could she have sprung to her right and her left if that hit really is hampered? Right now, Vanessa Fischer, once again, warming up. You can see, look how muddy her warm-up kit is. That tells you how intently she was warming up during the half-time break. In the end, she wasn't needed at half-time, but she might be needed now before full-time. Because again, at 1-0 up, I would almost err on the side of caution if I was Werder Bremen and Fritzi Klomp. Why run the risk? Because if all it takes is one Leverkusen shot on target and Mariella El Sharif is not capable of keeping the way she normally does, if she's incapacitated even by a single percentage, it's not worth running that risk on a night like tonight against Leverkusen. This is a night where if Werder Bremen hold on to this win, they will guarantee sitting in third place at Christmas. I mean, no present under the Christmas tree will be better than that for Fritzi Klomp and co. Guaranteed. Right now, they're 2 points behind Wolfsburg. Let's not get ahead of ourselves because Wolfsburg are in action against Nuremberg. If Nuremberg could beat Wolfsburg having just beaten Frankfurt, that would be really quite something. But I think Nuremberg was seen as one of the relegation favourites, likely to go straight back down, having been promoted. The Bremen substitutes appeal that wasn't a corner, but it does go Leverkusen's way. Haven't had a shot on goal since the 64th minute. 20 minutes ago, Leverkusen. Corner flicked on by Desic, and oh, Kramer was there, but so was Hauseker. And games like this, sometimes that's the little bit of luck you need, because that ball could have really fallen kindly for Kramer. But in the end, Werder Bremen had someone in the right place to at least make sure the shot couldn't be produced cleanly. But that is their first shot on goal in over 20 minutes. Unless, of course, you do count the one from Kramer we saw earlier, which was half shot, half cross. It almost got touched home by Mädel. Maybe the statisticians will count that, but I think from our perspective, It had been a long old wait for Leverkusen to produce even just an effort on goal, let alone a sight of it. Werder Bremen haven't exactly been pouring out the attacking output either, but they haven't had to at 1-0 up. This is very much for them mostly about managing the game now. Desic just caught the heel there of Piljic. Not particularly apologetic watching the Montenegrin. There's a nasty rake of the Achilles with the studs as well, and you can understand why Piljic took exception to it. One more game to go before Christmas. For Werder Bremen, it's a trip to the Black Forest to take on Freiburg at the Dreisamstadion. For Leverkusen, it's a home game against Bayern München. Repeat of the matchday 1 encounter that was played in front of a record-breaking crowd of... Oh, that's a little nasty. Ulbrich putting her head in harm's way and definitely caught by Fudala, who had every right to try and go for the ball. I think she would have been not unwise to at least apologise to Ulbrich and check on her, given the fact that she has kicked her in the head here. I get the competitive spirit, but can at least be sportswoman-like and check on Ulbrich, because that's a shin pad right to the dome. Fudala seems to be like wondering why she's even down. That's absurd. I'd like to see Fudala get kicked in the head and not stay down. But again, you could at least be, despite the hard-fought nature of this game, despite the competitive nature, you can still be human. Signs of a frustrating night for Vanessa Fudala, who's seen her counterpart Mühlhaus get the goal. And Leverkusen continue to push for an equaliser. Bremen continue to hold their ground. This incredibly impressive back line continues to impress. And again, just note, none of them, El Sharif, Michelle Weiss, Chiara D'Angelo, Michelle Ulbrich, Hannah Nemeth, none of them have missed a game so far this season. It's incredible that they have avoided injury, but the consistency is to be lauded. Here is Weiss. This is a real bright spark from right back as well, and that's a nice pass to Mühlhaus into the run. Mühlhaus just tried to show Ostermeier one side and go the other. Clash of knees. Mühlhaus gingerly to her feet. Here's D'Angelo. 90 seconds of normal time remain, and now the nervous wait from the Leverkusen dugout. How many minutes will be added on by the fourth official? Tonight, Zara Wilms. How many numbers will be on her board? Mühlhaus looking for the run of Desic. Forced to the byline, Desic, and can't pick out the pass. But now the high press, the Gegenpress from Bremen, winning the ball just outside the Leverkusen box. Oh, Diekmann with a slip, but recovers. Now here's Sternad. She's got D'Angelo inside her. Maya Sternad. Oh, Bender was diving in and just got enough of the ball. Sternad then sold by the dummy, and another. Oh, lovely play by Bender, albeit at the wrong end of the pitch. Mühlhaus picks off the loose pass. She might top the goal-scoring charts with 9 goals, but we shouldn't forget as well, she's chipped in with her fair share of assists as well, Larissa Mühlhaus. 6 assists to go along with the 9 goals. 15 scorer points, as they call them here in Germany, which is the combination of goals and assists. Only Clara Bühl of Bayern has more with 18. As this cross is deflected, had to be dealt with, and that is not dealt with. Ostermeier with a chance to get the ball in the danger area. And now Bremen can clear their lines, but the pressure is right there for Leverkusen if they can seize upon it. To add to her 8 goals and maybe match Mühlhaus or go above her against Karl Zeiss Jena. And Mühlhaus comes off to a standing ovation from those at Platz Elf. Has she produced another match-winning penalty? There's also a nice moment because we've got a Werder Bremen debut for Lena Petermann. 31 years of age, the former Germany international. A highlight at the end of this very competitive match in the north of Germany. Lofted forward. Hit and hope passes now from Leverkusen. Diekmann there, taking all the contact from Ruby Grant to go down and stay down. Will take precious seconds off the clock now, having been afforded the opportunity. Pulled to her feet by Melissa Friedrich. And we're going to get another change from Bremen. A few more precious seconds off the clock here. Rina Wichmann comes on for Maya Sternhardt, who won the penalty that might just have won Bremen this matchup between 3rd and 4th. A couple more minutes of injury time remaining for Werder Bremen to see this one out. It would be a run of form that has seen them produce just 1 loss in the last 8 games, that defeat coming against Frankfurt. For Werder Bremen, the only 3 teams they've lost against this season so far are the teams that finished in the top 3 in the previous campaign. Now Wichmann with the fresh legs. Oh, penalised. That seemed a little generous in Leverkusen's favour. I don't think there was a lot of contact from Wichmann, and I don't think there was a lot of contact from Desic. But along with Bayern and along with Köln, Werder Bremen are one of the informed teams in the Frauen-Bundesliga right now. And that form was put to the test against the Leverkusen side, who ultimately harbour aspirations of finishing above Bremen in the table this season. But those aspirations have taken a hit. It will be Werder Bremen, who at Christmas will be opening their presents, sipping on their mulled wine, perhaps enjoying the traditional roasted duck as they have here in Germany. Looking at the league standings and seeing themselves sat in 3rd place. A team that have never finished higher than 7th in the Frauen-Bundesliga. They're not on course just to have their best ever season. They are set to do it by some margin. And again, if they beat Freiburg next Sunday, they will have matched their points tally from the previous campaign with 12 games to spare.
Selina Menzel is letting this one run. Is there one more chance in it for Leverkusen? Or maybe for Bremen to seal the deal? Here's Arfawi with freedom to roam. Support from Desic. And picks her out eventually. Wichmann wants it in the middle. Wichmann gets it in the middle. Just can't get the shot off. The Minimalists are back as lightning strikes twice for Werder Bremen. After a 1-0 win against Karl Zeiss Jena, courtesy of a Larissa Mühlhaus penalty, it's another 1-0 win against Leverkusen tonight, courtesy of a Larissa Mühlhaus penalty. She moves on to 9 for the season. Tonight, she tops the goal scorer charts. And for Werder Bremen, a huge result in their final home game of the calendar year. They preserve their unbeaten home record and guarantee them 3rd place at Christmas. What a Friday night. What a season Werder Bremen are having. Absolutely exceptional. 5 wins, 2 draws on home soil. And this was a hard-fought win, the value of which we will only truly understand come the end of this season. Because what this win does for Werder Bremen, as things stand on Friday night, they move on to 26 points, 4 points above Leverkusen, and 7 clear of Hoffenheim, Frankfurt, and Freiburg. Those 3 teams will be in action later this weekend, so that gap can be closed. But the breathing room that Bremen have fashioned in the first half of this season is stunning. They broke all sorts of club records in the previous campaign, and they are going to break all sorts of records in the current one. But they're not going to wait until the end of the season to do it. They are going to be breaking those records with games to spare. And Fritzi Kromp, hats off. She has had the magic touch. Bremen's new head